Hey, what's going on? I hope you guys are having a good day. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today we have a great conversation with a great guest, and we are going to have fun. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, and I'm going to start the conversation on this whole issue with hip hop and what it's doing to our culture, to our people, to our women, especially. And the special guest that I get a chance to speak with is the one and only Sugar T, aka Dr. Sugar T.
Hey,
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Dr. Boyce?
Doing good, doing good, doing good. I would say something real corny like "Sprinkle Me, Girl," something like that, but that just I cannot imagine how often you hear ooh ooh ooh. Right? I'm not even gonna do it because I know you probably hear it so often. How does that feel when
That's all
people bring
right.
it up?
It's okay. It's okay. Because I actually learned to appreciate it, even though I'm a whole lot more than sprinkle me and a whole lot. I'm not gonna say more, but a whole lot more other things. But at the end of the day, I learned to really appreciate it because at a certain part, people kind of didn't appreciate the older women in hip hop. So it
Mhm.
feels good that I could, be around here for the last almost 4 decades, and people really appreciate and still singing my hit, and opening up doors and opportunities to communicate about it.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that. I want to just start with this direct question. I don't even know. Just so you know, I'm not a real interviewer. I just interview people that I'm interested in talking to,
Mhm.
and you're really interesting to me because you have such a creative family, and I was thinking about that today about how you're so much more than like E40's sister, and I was thinking, wondering what that feels like, when there are I can only imagine how many people are like, "Oh, you're E40's sister," but you're so much more than that. I mean, you're so diverse. How does that feel for you? What's that experience like?
It's mixed feelings. First of all, I totally love my brothers. My brother. First of all, there's so many different places we can go at this. So I'll start from. It feels good because he's my brother. First of
Mhm.
all, but at the same time, I'm also a star, so it's annoying because some people don't even use their common sense, and they'll just like, well, that's like I'm a feature, a major part of the song, of the production as well as of the song "Sprinkle Me," so they don't acknowledge me sometime, and then sometimes when they say E40 sister. They put the little on it. It's like I'm little, but I'm also big because I'm a very experienced woman. I have multiple generations that I have raised, and Big Mama, and a whole bunch that I've built and created around, the Sugar Tea brand. And sometimes it allows, I try to not look at people as being ignorant, or disrespectful, but sometimes I try to take it and give them some education. But it's annoying because you would think common sense would say, oh, well, she has to be some type of individualism to still, remain in this game. Then there's other parts that it's like, okay, so that's great that I'm a sister, but I'm also an equal to him as well. I have my own businesses. I've made a large contribution to the game, up to date. I've also had to experience a whole nother thing that a man does not have to experience in music, and sometimes I feel like I'm being kind of discredited, for not being recognized as a woman in my own individual space. And so it's a lot, but it's a blessing because he is my brother and I love my brother dearly. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, which brother? They be like, how's your brother doing? I'm like, well, which brother? I got five of them, but they tend to just point at
Mm.
him. And it's like, okay, you guys need to stop this stuff because there's a whole lot more, that my other brothers are special too, they're part of
Mhm.
of our success and a part of my life too. So it kind of makes me feel like people are just jock cockers, you know what I mean? So that's pretty much it.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and it's funny. I mean, it really makes me reflect on how people view celebrity in our society. I'm not a celebrity, and if I was, I'd be like D list, E list, or something. But even I go through that where I have to let people know. Oh, I got siblings that are all doing their own thing. I have relatives all around me and friends that deserve to be recognized, and then I started realizing how I view public figures as well. I think who was it? I think just some I forgot which celebrity it was, but somebody I met, and they were like, "Oh, that's so and so's brother." I was like, "Oh, I never even thought they had siblings. I would never even it never even crossed my brain."
Hmm.
And I just thought about that, So because uh, I've always known you as somebody that's a respected friend, and I like what you do in the sense that we connect over this idea that our community deserves better than what it's been getting, and also that our women deserve better than what they've been getting. So I'd like to kind of transition to that.
Hmm. Hmm.
You had mentioned one time when we were talking about how it seemed to you that so now you have it seems like this space that the OG men have been able to carve out, the Ice Cubes and Method Man and your brother E40 as well as some others where there's like this following right online and other places where they can tour and do things, but you don't seem to feel that the women have gotten that same opportunity. That now for the women, it's a lot of Megan and Cardi and everything else. God bless them, but the world is about a lot more than just the Megan and the Cardis. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. So, it's interesting because there's a lot of different dynamics to the women's space, and so the women on the East Coast, they tend to have a little bit more support than the women on the West Coast, and in particularly the Bay Area. So when they come to the West Coast to pull one of us legends out, right, us trailblazers who was in the first element and who helped create the space for hip hop, they come to LA. And these days they've been getting just one person out of LA. And I'm not going to say the name because, I don't want to seem like I'm hating, but they just come get one person from the West Coast, and that seems to suffice for what the West Coast is about. And that's
Mm-hmm.
totally the opposite of what it is. First of all, Northern California and Southern California is two totally different places. Yes, we
Mm-hmm.
love each other. Yes, we're Californians. Yes, we're West Coast, but we're all different breeds. And the experience that women here in the Bay has had is extremely different from the women in Southern California, and in particularly the women who were in the game and paved the way. You know what I'm saying? So we all
Mm-hmm.
come together in one capacity, but at the end of the day, there's a whole nother level. People go pick LA because LA is the hot spot, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
though San Francisco is the hot spot, we're innovators here as well. But LA seems that Hollywood thing. So the people feel like they're close to West Coast and doing their job by coming to LA and picking one person out of it. And it's really dangerous because if that one person doesn't share, then that's all it looks like that's available. And it also gives
Mm-hmm.
those who are pulling these people, pulling us apart like that, or just picking and choosing who they gonna give some exposure to and call, West Coast women. And it's almost like that gives them, okay, see, we did it. We found somebody on the West Coast. So y'all can't say we just, being
Mm-hmm.
biased of the different coasts, but it's very terrible because we have women here who have paved the way in the Northern California Bay Area who's still hot, who've been a lot of times we've been forced to create other opportunities for ourselves in order to sustain and to create equal and equitable opportunities for ourselves and access, you know what I mean? And we have been through hell and back doing so without the support of many, because a lot of us who are here that are Northern California bound, we're not the ones sleeping around. We're not the ones doing weeds and drugs and foolishness and running around. We have responsibilities that we've created as older women, youth, children, grandchildren. We have businesses that we've created, forced to. Some are working 9 to 5s, doing all kinds of stuff, trying to make it, because of this biasness, of what is being created in the hip hop industry for women, and specifically women in the Bay Area, Northern California.
Mm. Well, you know what? So Sugar, one thing I was thinking about it as you were speaking is you were talking about politics of hip hop, and a lot of people don't have any clue as to how the politics can work. And I know this was the 50th year anniversary, and you mentioned that there was a lot of interesting stuff going on with that. And I'm actually going to keep processing what you just said about sort of a misrepresentation of the West Coast. And you're right. I mean, I go out there a lot. I got a lot of friends out there. Ice Cube and I know each other, stuff like that. But it's but I remember it actually from a creative standpoint. I always felt the Bay Area was more creative than any other part of the country, not even just California. Like it's like almost like the Bay is almost like another planet in terms of just innovative ideas and not really sort of biting off somebody else's culture. It just comes out, I'm like, where did they come up with
Real.
that? Right. And your family is at the head of that, and I say your family because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? So you can't talk about what your brother
Absolutely.
E40 does without talking about the tree, right? Like I remember when I sat down with Will Smith's brother Harry for hours and I was listening to him talk and I said, okay, now I understand Will Smith more because I see that he comes from a family that has a certain perspective. Same thing can be said about my family. You can't talk about me without understanding my brothers, sisters, my parents, right? So with that being said, I'm going to circle that back into a question. Let's talk about the politics of it. How do you feel that things were handled kind of with the 50th anniversary of hip hop and the inclusion of diverse women and done in the right way? And feel free to critique or whatever it is it comes to mind.
Sure. Well, just to finalize my thought, before honing totally into the politics of the 50th. So on the other hand, older women have a problem with coming together because I can give that to the older brothers. They come together. They come together, work together, they settle their differences. If there's drama, they know how to get it together. But for some reason, the older women, I have learned because I have been a part of trying to get us together. You know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, y'all, let's come together and let's go get it. Because if I put this together, then we can go and hem up the people and say, look what we got, but it's very challenging to get that done. So I basically stopped working on that and I'm just kind of focusing on myself now at this point. So, because it's just a roller coaster ride. And that's a problem as well, is coming together. And then, of course, we have women who are younger who have come from the Bay Area. But I really believe that the younger women are taught to not work with us, to go against us, to take our space and stomp on us and don't necessarily come and say, there's no one saying let's recycle, let's carry out the culture, let's respect the elders, let's continue to keep a revolving group of a cycle of balance, of women, older and younger. There's no leadership element that's around this thing. And this is a part of the politics of hip hop as well. Whereas, they're not working. We're not working together. So there's a whole divide. And it seems to be that our industry, the hip hop industry, see, voice rockers, what people don't understand is I could sing. You know what I mean? I sing like a bird. You understand? And I'm not the one that's like trying to sing. I don't need the vocal cord. I could sing. You feel me? A lot of the music that we've done in the past, time a name ringing, major factor, FedEx, high powered lawyers, and a young nigga having his bread. Like a lot of the one love. That's my real, voice that I put, in the game from the gate. But I chose to, to move through the hip hop element because that's where my brand was the strongest. And I do a lot of my singing and other things, but I stay in hip hop for the purpose of someone having a voice of reason and someone that's going to have a big mama conversation with you. That's going to be real, because I'm not going to just let them push me out the game because I'm older. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, the more they push and the more that I see that there's a challenge, because there is a lot of politics right now. And I don't say this in bitterness, because people sometimes tend to, as which I take my hat off to you. Half of the stuff you say, I know you don't mean no harm to Black folks. And I know you don't mean no harm to nobody, but they don't get it because they're not there, and maybe 15 years, 10 years from now, they'll be like, wow, you know what, he said this, but they'll come right on in and say you bitter or, so I'm gonna be clear. I'm doing great. You know what I mean? I am blessed. I am highly favored. There are so many blessings that come. I can't even get enough of them. But when it comes down to the element of council culture, because this hip hop 50th thing right now that's going on, they're picking who they're going to talk about. They're picking which women they're going to say was a part of the culture. And all of a sudden you got a flood of an oversaturated, even more market of those who are trying to come in and reclaim their stakes. You get what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
so this whole thing is really interesting, but at the same time, the positive thing is that it is reviving, that there is some conversation, that legacy needs to be presented, and that there is a foundation to where this came from. That's the positive part, to be able to, highlight that. And I believe they said it's like down 40%, that because of the balance of now, more so them wanting the older artists and working that 50th, movement, which I think is just wonderful. But you also got people coming in to pluck at it. You got them coming
Mhm.
in to see what they can make off of it, using people to come and show up for certificate programs and stuff. Come get your certificate. If you don't come, basically it makes you feel like you're not going to be recognized, or, you're not being a part, you're not being a team player. So they're having you show up different places for free, and
Mhm.
it's a lot of different things that was happening. I'm not saying that we don't do things for free, but at the same time, because
Mhm.
there's different, every situation is different, and it makes sense, when it makes sense. But these things come up where, if you're going to offer, pulling people in for certificates and things, also offer them where they can make some money, open up equitable
Mhm.
opportunities for them too. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Just, come and use them, especially when it's the ones that, that's not as visible because of, limited access, because of not, I don't want to say that, because some, this is not a complaint. You got to make equitable opportunities for yourself, and
Mhm.
I'm that type. Like you just said, I come from that cloth. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm gonna make it work, and I'm gonna figure it out. And thank God for being a machine. So I don't care if I'm on my 25th album. So if I don't, sell 1,000,000 units, I'm okay with that. If I sell 10,000, that's fine. Because that's 10,000 people buy my album for $10, $15. That's a buck 50, 150,000 a year. That's one stream that is added to all the other streams that I've been blessed to create, because I know
Mhm.
that. You know what I mean? And so it's just interesting though to see it happening, when I feel that we should be evolving, and this needs to not become a cycle. It needs to change. It's like a recycling, element in this business of hip hop, because no one talks about it. Everybody just want to show up and be cute and hoorah rah and like, I'm here, but no one's getting down to the things that really need to be changed. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Or if they are, they're tapping on it, and there's certain people I do give credit to, that is like KRS-One and Chuck D and people like that. They've been doing that, but they, and they're doing great doing it. But I want to get into the, the other things, that's a part of this thing, besides just understanding the history of it. We need to know that there's a problem with community, what we're doing as leaders, default leaders, because many of them say they're not role models, they don't want to be. And I get that, but you are, because you're brand and
Mhm.
you're a media figure, and you're off top, being watched and looked at. And there's so much more, that comes with this, whether you like it or not, and so having the balance,
Mhm.
is important. You feel me?
Yeah, well, Sugar, speaking of balance,
Mhm.
one guy actually who has an album called Finding Balance is a rapper named D1. And D1 has recently gone viral because he's kind of been challenging hip hop and specific artists. And, whether people like the tactics or not, I don't know. But I know that it's gotten a lot of conversation going about that, what you said about being a role model, acknowledging that, and looking at how your messages or whatever culture you're promoting is impacting our community, right? When we've got so much death, so much suffering, drug addiction, so many problems,
So many.
and and I think it leads to a broader discussion about
Mhm.
um, what can we control, what can't we control,
Mhm.
should there be accountability,
Mhm.
and I know one point that I did make, when I talked to D, was I said you're right. I said, but also understand that some of these artists, not every artist is like you and your brother, where you're independent. You've always talked about entrepreneurship and ownership, things like that.
Mhm.
Some of these Negroes are puppets.
Yeah,
Some of these
absolutely.
Negroes are, and Sugar,
Mhm.
I just to be silly, I pulled out my little puppet, and, I
Mhm.
called Charlie the Negro naysayer, and I said, look, so
Mhm. I love
puppet,
it.
if this
Love
puppet
it.
says something crazy, right? If he says,
Mhm.
I think black women are stupid and everybody should go get high, I'm not gonna argue with the puppet. I'm not gonna be like, why would you say that, right? Or you shouldn't get mad at him. If
Yeah.
I'm the puppet master and I got my hand up his ass and I'm the one telling him what to say, you should be talking to me. And so the record labels, in many cases, are the puppet masters,
Mm-hmm.
and the artist, in many cases, is just the puppet. And
Mm-hmm.
so I told D, I said, make sure that when you talk to, whether you talk to Rick Ross or whoever, Jim Jones, I don't know anything about their experience. These are the names he mentioned, Meek Mill, stuff like that. Make sure you don't just talk to the puppet. Make sure you also figure out who's the puppet master. Maybe these are guys who are really saying what they really want to say. At that point, there's a deeper conversation. But then there's like, who's paying you? Right? It's like if somebody gets killed and somebody hired the killer, you don't just stop with the killer. You got to go to the source, to the root of it all. So, what would
Mm-hmm.
you say in terms of you're a smart woman, you're a businesswoman, you understand marketing and messages and psychology and all these things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what is it that we need to understand as a community that will allow us to explore and appreciate the beautiful free expression of hip hop that you and your brother have done just masterfully for decades? And allow that and support that while at the same time saying, yo, look, some of this stuff we don't want these images of our women. We don't want these messages to our children.
Mm-hmm.
How do we balance those two?
Sure. That's a wonderful points. So, to start, first of all, we've all had our time of cut up. You know what I'm saying? Because I know
Right.
I cut the rug at one point and I could still act a fool. But because of the Black pride that I was taught by my mother from the beginning and the foundation,
Mm,
and because of
mm,
the foundation of my grandparents who were pastors, who owned a church where my grandmother was a mother, it always came. And then, of course, because of some mentors later on that taught me leadership, you know what I'm saying? I used to like, be like, leadership, oh, that's corny, I'm already a leader. What are you talking about? And once I took it, because I've been in the social world for quite a while. And I really, no matter what I did, I've always wanted to help people. I wanted people to, to go through what I went through, what I was able to overcome: welfare, Section 8, being a young mother, gun violence, being a hood girl, coming out and dealing with making bad decisions, divorces, abuse, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, and of course, later on, realizing the chauvinism in hip hop and in
mm,
music and all that comes along with that. Bottom line is, I always wanted to help people. So I always was open to learn. And
mm,
this is, like you said, we can't control what other people do, but we can control what we
mm.
do. And
Yeah.
my whole thing is, it's never, the entertainment industry is a business,
Mm-hmm.
period. And
Yes.
it's going to work its thing. So if somebody wants to fall in and be a part of the business that represents as a puppet, unfortunately, that's what that's what the entertainment, you can't blame the record labels for it. You know what I'm saying? It's the person who actually stands up in that space and says, I'm willing to puppet, and
I,
and
I,
I'm willing
I,
to puppet,
I'm gonna
because
tell you, I blame the record labels too, though. Not that they should
that's a
have any
part.
right. Well, right. Not that they
That's a
should have
part.
any responsibility
Sure.
for us, right? If
Yeah.
if a record label is owned by a Jewish guy, why would he care about my community?
Absolutely. And
It's up,
there
right.
you
It's up
go.
to me to jack him up and say you're not
There
gonna do it.
you
Yeah,
that
because
part right
if I
there.
tried to do that to them, they wouldn't
You
allow
got it.
that.
That's
Go
right.
ahead.
Because you're absolutely right. People forget that this is a business and they start falling into this mess. And then, so it's like, it's a catch 22. If they gonna do their job, so we have to do our job.
Yes.
This is their business. So we get caught up
Mhm.
in trying to be like this is where my challenge is where we're trying to be like the stars. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
And it's like, we not, you got y'all, everybody, I put myself in there because I'm a people and community person. Everybody trying to look like this person, this star. Everybody want to live like this. Everybody want to, access certain things. It's all in everybody's face. So you know what it is? It's the psychology. I don't, the psychology of, you put something in a man's face, in a nigga face, basically, excuse my language, but a black person's face is not used to nothing. The first thing they're gonna do
Mm.
is go after it. It's a psychology. They want to go get it, like the Sigmund Freud.
Yep.
Remember
That's
that
right.
dog that salivate, and he seen that food.
Hmm.
First thing he got
Yes.
off that chain, he going to go get
Pavlov's
that food.
dog. Yep. Yep.
That's the psychology. It's also, unfortunately, a form of witchcraft. It's also a conditioning, so it's
Mm.
programming, it's all, and it's cell psychology. So it's all those layers mixed. If you're spiritually connected and see the whole thing, it can be crafty. You know what I mean? If you are looking at it from a scientific perspective, it's a cell psychology. You see what I'm saying? And so my point is everybody's doing their agenda in their job, and we have to do ours, and
Mhm.
understand that when you're looking at TV, looking on all this stuff, this is all fake and fabricated to run you, to get a reaction out of you, to get some money out your pocket, to get you
Mhm.
to fall into the agenda of what they're trying to get done, because they're doing their job, and that is to, renew your mind for what they need it for. So you ask, what do we do about it? Well, there's multiple layers to it. We have to start because we're dealing with 4 generations of trauma and transition.
Mhm.
And I'm not
Mhm.
even adding the other generations before
Mhm.
that of all the other stuff. This just added on top of it,
Right.
to put this like, okay, wow, we can use them because you have the blackface, right? The blackface,
Mhm.
that's what they did. They used entertainment to detour you and to distract you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Over here, they're doing that, and you have the black face is willing to come wear the white thing and puppet with them. But the difference is
Mhm.
they didn't have as much access to other things that were available to them. You know what
Mm.
I mean? They didn't have I can go over here and learn this career or go get this trade in cybersecurity. I pull people into cybersecurity careers. You know what I'm saying? The
Mm.
pathways of technology and IT tech. That's a part of one of the movements. And that's because my whole a piece of me is given access. When you have access, and sometimes we have to make opportunities to give people access as well as for ourselves and to share with others. So that's a part of what I do, is bring people to spaces and places where they can get access to stuff, the truth, information, careers, multiple streams. And when I say careers, livable wage careers that's not so popular but that makes the most sense. Everybody's flooding to just be an entertainer, and hip hop and rap. I just
Mhm.
refuse to just only let that be my walk. It's
Mm.
just horrible. So if we have, like you said, these puppets that don't learn nothing else. They don't know nothing else. They don't want nothing else. You had mentioned about the mentality of money, the mental capacity. It is mental health, because if you're willing to do anything for money, you know what I mean, and not even look at the future, you're willing to take all your clothes off and get on stage and hump the air looking stanky. That is so stanky. I mean, it just does something to me. You know what I mean? Because I get stank. I could do stank too. But I ain't gonna stank with my butt flipping out with my butt cheeks and everywhere I go. And just be proud of just, going all the way there. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's and that's all you do. It's like everywhere you look, that's all you see is
Mm.
booties flapping, humping the air, and it's black women and
Mhm.
young black girls. And some people got nervous that, oh, Sugar, you used to do it. I did, but never all of that. Never, that was never my only conversation. I
Mm.
wasn't, if I was talking about sex, it's like you're not gonna get it, and I'm gonna still get your check. You understand what I'm saying? You know, that was Sugar T's game. If yeah, it's good, but if you ain't getting it. You gonna still give me what I got. If my mouthpiece ain't got you there, then you ain't getting nothing. And I'm gonna get that check. But that was when I did have those conversations. It was also, I don't need you. I could take care of myself because I know what it is, and I'm
Mhm.
building my empire to be able to not have to tolerate your crap. You know what I'm saying? If that, in that space. So there was just a different twist. It wasn't about everywhere you look, I'm gonna suck your booty and I'm gonna do this and that. I can't believe that we are okay with that. And it's like, I get you're young. I get that. They're going to grow up. I just pray that they make it, that they make it where they're not empty inside. They make it where they don't end up with all these diseases, herpes and AIDS and HIV. And so this is out of love. I'm saying this out of love. I'm not saying this out of judgment. And most people listening, or most people, that ain't there yet, they might, oh, they judging. No, this ain't about that. You can go right down online and look up, do you think you can handle this? Okay. I got that song out. It's a cut up song, and I leave that there on purpose because I let you know I can relate. And you go look up all my music. If anybody got any sense, they'll go look and say, oh, she talking smack. Who is she? Go look me up. The Click, Sugar T, Sugar Dash T, The Click. Okay. Look up that whole thing. Sprinkle Me Hurricane, Whip Tickets, Hot Was Echo Through the Ghetto. I mean, I can keep going on and on. And at the end of the day, it's about me having a big mama conversation at this point. Hip hop
Mhm.
needs big mama.
Yeah.
And every industry has a leader that keeps some kind of balance. You know, we need a Panther movement from a woman, you know, that's not just, you know, that actually lives it and that actually, you know, provides it from. I have two generations, excuse me. Me, I have grandchildren. They're teenagers. You know, I
Mm.
have children in their mid 30s. This is serious to me. I'm looking at my little sisters going out. It's embarrassing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I get stared at when I go to the store. It does affect all of us because I have a natural body, big breasts, big butt, little waist, no altercations, you know, fake hair. I keep my fake hair because it helps me not to put on my real hair and sit in the shop every
Maybe I gotta get some fake hair. I ain't got no hair. Well, you
But
know
look,
what?
I can take mine off though, and I can wear my real hair. That's the beautiful part,
Well,
right?
well,
And I
let,
do
well,
it sometimes to be realistic. You know, I'm sorry,
well,
not to cut you
no,
off.
let me jump in on you though, because I want to mention
Mhm,
you said something that triggered me in terms of why I think the supporting you and artists like you is so important. Two things that came to mind as you were talking, Sugar. One was, um, you know, nobody denies the right of a Cardi B to exist or a Megan the Stallion or Sexy Red and all this other stuff, right? They can be out there. I think the problem is that when it comes to black women, there's a lack of diversity.
mhm.
It's just like this is all you're gonna see, you know. And I
Yeah.
ask people, and people say, "Oh, you just being judgmental." I said, "Okay, okay. Well, tell me who's the
Yeah.
white Cardi B, who's
Mhm.
the Asian version of Megan
Yes.
the Stallion? You don't have anybody that is at that same level of
Yep.
fame and popularity that is doing the same shenanigans on stage to get attention. And I don't really know what that says. I know it affects a lot of the. I know good women. I know quality women. I know solid women who can
Yes.
still they can throw down in the bedroom, but they
Mhm.
not trying to sell it to the street. They
Yes.
saving it for their man or their husband or whatever. You know, so
Mhm.
because believe me, I mean, whatever a porn star does, a good woman can do all those same things probably better, but she knows there's a time and place for things, right? And
That's right.
that's where the line gets drawn, you know. So when
Mhm.
I hear what's that lady? I forgot her name. There's so many now, but
Mhm. Yeah.
Cardi's mentor, I forgot her name,
Yeah.
but she was saying something. She said, "Well, ain't nothing wrong with me talking about sex all the time. Everybody
Ooh.
does it." I said,
Mm.
"Yeah, everybody does it, but everybody shits once, at least once or twice a day. But
Yeah.
you don't shit in the street. You don't get
Yeah.
on like I don't get on the microphone and say, "Hey, y'all, let me tell
Mhm.
y'all about the
Yeah.
shit I'm about to go tell." You don't do that. That's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that's gross, you know. So that's the first thing. I think diversity is what's missing.
Mhm.
Here's the
Mhm.
second piece in terms of why what you said is so important. I don't want us to miss that. Is one thing that Ice Cube has been allowed to do, that your brother E40 has been allowed to do, that some of the other artists that, as I've watched them mature, has been allowed to do,
Mhm.
is to use their experience on the big platform to give millions of dollars worth of game to young guys coming up. You know,
Mhm.
I listen. You know, Cube has always been. I was excited when we became friends because he was always my favorite artist. And your brother's right there too. We played your brother's song at our wedding. Actually, me and my wife did. I don't. This is a stupid, silly side note.
Aw.
But yeah, yeah. I mean, like that was our song we came out to. Nope. Yep.
Aw.
That was, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Good.
one of my favorite songs of all time. And if
Yes.
E40, not, I'm sorry,
Mhm. Mhm.
Willie D was one of my best man, or he was actually my brother's
Mhm.
my best man. Willie D was one of my groomsmen.
Mhm.
He said, "Ah, if you was gonna play that song, I would have called him and told him to let him know that you was, yeah." But I didn't think about that. But anyway, but let me get to the point. I won't
Mhm.
get distracted here. But
Yeah.
but but here's the thing: they've been able to give their music matures. And as I
Mhm.
listened to
Yes.
Cube in his
Mhm.
30s and 40s, he rapped
Yes.
different from what he said when he was 20, 21 years old.
Yes.
And it was that experience of him saying, don't do these stupid things because it's going to lead to bad outcomes.
Yes.
Women need the same thing. So when you said hip hop needs Big Mama, that you are 100% correct.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes.
I've always said this, and I'd like to get
Mhm.
your thoughts on this. I've
Mhm.
always said that our community would be so much better off if there was some systematic way for older
Mhm.
women, like say
Mhm.
over 40, mature women, let's say mature,
Yes.
not old,
Mhm.
mature women over
Mhm.
40 to
Yes.
have consistent and honest conversations with young women in their 20s to say,
Yes.
okay, you keep down this path, this is what's waiting for you on the
Mhm.
other side. But I
Yes.
don't think we do that. I think there's too much shame. You know,
Yep.
like if you make a mistake and let's say you catch a
Mhm.
disease that makes you infertile, you're not going to tell everybody that. Or let's
Right.
say that you pick the wrong men when you're young and bad things
Mhm.
happen to you, you're not going to talk about that so much. We don't
Yes.
talk about those mistakes, but I think that's critical because
Yeah.
young people, nobody tells them what's going to happen if you
Yeah.
continue down this path.
Yeah. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. You mentioned the young lady when she talked about, well, everybody does it. Everybody talks about sex. Well, baby, just because everybody do it don't mean you do.
Mm.
It's like, when is somebody going to stand up and do something different? You want to just follow the pack and do what everybody else do. But on the other side, I get it, because when they don't know the business and they don't have anything else that they're either interested in learning and finding out, or they're not willing to make a sacrifice, because a lot of people don't want to sacrifice. Like, I went to school, I didn't care what nobody said. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I didn't care if people looked down on me. But I had to deal with that adversity. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't running around with the pack, because I wasn't at every party, because I wasn't hanging out with every blue jack and green, and because they didn't get it. You know what I mean? I was way ahead of the game. My thing was always, I'm not going to let nobody corner me into feeling like I got to do this. So and not have an outlet. You know what I'm saying? So, being multiple streamed, multiple well-rounded, being able to be in every conversation, I didn't want to be kicked out the conversation. Oh, that's this Suga T. She's a rapper. She don't know, that kind of thing. Okay. So my point of saying that is this different generation, and even maybe some others, I'm not sure, but they don't want to sacrifice. Everybody want an easy, quick lick. So that's what gets them tending to have that mindset of, I'm gonna do what everybody else doing. They don't look and just look a different way and say, let me revolutionize, let me be different. Like, and so when it comes down to teaching, that's what I do. I'm a coach. My gift is a somewhat of what we call an apostolic, where I create leaders and support leaders. I'm a coach. I own Sprinkle Me Learning Academy. It's a coaching and development and exploration academy, and I did it on purpose, because it's to help people carve and understand things, to help them balance, to help them find multiple streams of income, branding that makes sense, and also to get them well mentally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So my point of saying that is, when you have information and knowledge, that's your power. And a lot of these artists are not going after no other knowledge except for sitting on stage. And it's a lazy way of thinking. I don't mean just education, although I have a double doctorate and 3 master's degrees and a bachelor's and 2 AAs and a whole bunch of certifications, along my journey, right? But it's not just about that part of education. It's about listening to your elders, listening to the ones with experience, honoring these people that's in your space, and respecting their game. I don't care how much money they may not have, how many mistakes they may have made. You can get a lot of information for us who came before you. But because this mindset that in the atmosphere, it's about a rivalry towards the older generation, sit them down somewhere, they better, put them up later. That's like getting rid of hot water cornbread and greens out the garden and using boxed cornbread and greens out the can. Okay, big mama, we don't need you no more, mama. You 30 years old, you too old now. We don't need your greens and hot water cornbread, but they gonna go on and bring that boxed cornbread that's gonna get them stale and get them diabetes and get them high blood pressure and cholesterol quicker, and shorten their life instead of keeping the real game around them. You feel me?
That's
So
right. Yeah.
you know what I
Well,
mean?
tell me about your academy. What's the URL for the academy so people can go and participate in that?
It's sprinklемelearningacademy.com.
Okay.
Sprinklemelearningacademy.com.
I'm gonna put that on the screen. You keep talking. I'm gonna put sprinkle me. Let me see.
Learning Academy, sprinklemelearningacademy.com.
Okay.
Sprinklemelearningacademy.com. Now, the most beautifulest part to this, Dr. Watkins, is I also have the Work It Well Project. It's an organization, because I know everybody couldn't afford to just do the typical coaching, services. But I also am a philanthropist in a place where I have the Work It Well Project, which is an organization where we help people, empower them with the tools to be healthy, safe, economically empowered, and inspired. And we help keep them from falling through the cracks. You know what I'm saying? And by meeting them where they are and helping them explore what they can become. So we have a program called Boss Steps for Success. We do, it's an element of exploration, tech exploration, and entrepreneurship. And we offer that to vulnerable populations for free. You know what I'm saying? We also have the platform for for autistic families. Right now, they're suffering tremendously. Those who have severe, and that's a whole nother conversation we need to have on another show. But severe autism is real. I'm an advocate
Mhm.
for that group. There are a lot of families who have severe autism and they're home suffering with these children and don't know what to do. These are, when I say severe, I'm not talking about the ones that are, and nothing against Asperger's and other parts of the spectrum that sometimes people just get thrown on that might just have developmental problems and other things that necessarily not is really autism, but they may not know what to call it. So they just get thrown. It makes it very difficult for those who are really in need to be able to get the services and the support. And then you got everybody trying to eat off the autism plate. So you got, it's hard to find resources that really can meet these severe children where they are. Then you got the rivalry of those who are in the autism community, that's not as severely impacted, but that can get fine along on their own, that's attacking these parents of these nonverbal moms. And it's just a lot of stuff that is really a challenge. So we have a program for called Amazing Parents. We also have a segment of that called Amazing Moms. So we support families of children with autism. The workitwellproject.org. Anybody who wants to donate, you're welcome to put that, Dr. Boyce, if you like.
It's work. Give me that URL again.
Yes, it's the
The work
workitproject.org.
the
The
workitproject.org. Got it.
the workitproject.org. And we
Okay.
give away a free Work It Well Cafe online membership for people to be where health is wealth and wealth is health, so they can, continue to work on their health mentally, physically. It's a workout in there that people, the membership access that we donate, so people can do it from anywhere, in their home and wherever. We started that during the pandemic to keep people working out and being healthy and just giving that away for
Mm,
free to keep them inspired.
nice.
Yes, sir. And then
Mm.
I recently, mhm,
Oh, but well, I was going to say that working out piece is so important. I encourage everybody listening, to just know that mental health is deeply connected to your physical, activity. Working out does a lot for your everything, your ability to set goals and
mhm,
be positive and everything
mhm,
else. And one
mhm,
one thing I'm grateful to my wife for is she got me in the habit of getting up and going to the gym at 6 in the morning. And the hard part is scraping yourself out of the bed. But if you can just grit your teeth and make that happen, there's something
mhm,
very powerful about
mhm.
starting the day super early, and
Yes.
you just on that treadmill. And then everybody has their little formula. But one day I was just listening to some motivational videos, and I had I forgot the guy's name, the hip hop preacher, and other people yelling in my ear, "You can do it! Ain't no excuse!" And I said, "Oh my God, okay, this is church right now." And you ready to just take on the day, and I
Yeah.
think everybody should have their own
Mhm.
ritual, and it's
Yes.
got to include physical fitness because, like, as you, I'm sure you would
Mhm.
agree,
Mhm.
our people are so heavily impacted by preventable physical illnesses that
Mhm.
come from the food we eat or the environments that we're in. A lot of stress. You mentioned
Mhm.
trauma earlier, where
Mhm.
trauma and the drama and trauma affects
Mhm.
our relationships, and it just creates like a madhouse. You trying to literally be normal in a
Mhm.
madhouse. No, a madhouse is going to drive you mad unless you find
Yes.
some way to fight your way out of
Mhm.
that, separate, whatever the case may be. And then the other piece that you said that really got me, you keep triggering these thoughts in my head,
Mhm.
but when you mentioned going to school and not following the crowd. Um, and then also you talked about growing up with Black pride in your culture, and I thought it made me think about like the history of the Bay Area and how much Black pride there was there. And you had the blessing of
Mhm.
say artists like say Tupac,
Mhm.
who would have I guess if things had turned out different, would have
Mhm.
been a major world leader. I think, at least in the hip hop space, a
Yep.
huge influencer. And the
Yep.
fact, and when you have
Mhm.
these
Yep.
individuals with that much influence who are
Mhm.
heavily impacted by Black culture, who are told who they are early, like if you
Yes.
just know who you are, then the
Yes.
world can't shake you off that and make you into something else.
Yes.
And I
Mhm.
love that.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, great points. I mean, the song This Little Light of Mine, I'm gonna let it shine. So that was the song that always made me think about the shining light, like, because you never know that, you didn't know that people was going to try to put your lights out in this game, in life, and so
Mm.
just singing that song to yourself and remembering that you're going to let it shine and you pull that light out. But the best way to pull that light out is by sowing into yourself. You have to grow your mental. You got to grow your spiritual. You have to grow your physical. It's a combination. It's a balance. And, with the typical spaces, the Work It Well project, that Work It Cafe is where you get all of that in one. I do what you, and you do what's comfortable for you that you can be consistent, with. That's what it's about, So the Work It Dance Out is what I call it, and I have workout music, the whole nine, a whole little project that I'm supposed to be launching. I'm talking early, but bottom line is, you
Nice.
go in there and you get some exclusivity, that most people won't
Nice.
get right now until, it's a set time for that. But the bottom line is, it's a great platform. And, I was also thinking of, and we don't often go there. And the reason why, when you brought up Tupac, Tupac was my
Mm.
friend, he was my brother. Like, he used to come to my house for peace because I
Mm.
had the mother house, like
Mm.
I had to separate some time from the boys because I was a mother. I had to come back home. My mama was like, okay, honey, where you at?
Mm.
Time to come back and get your kids. I didn't have them. So, so it was a little getaway for me as a teen mom. Like, oh, I get to go tour, touring all across the world, going with the brothers, and then I got
Nice.
on that plane, and she was like, okay, you back in town. So I couldn't run because the plane, my brothers was off it with me, so she could just call them. She with you, So I couldn't get away, so I had to go back home. But the beautiful part is, it wasn't just about education in school, Dr. Boyce. It was also because I was a mother. And a lot of people don't know the difference between being a mother and a male that's a father in this game.
Mm.
And this is a problem also with, it comes down to hip hop. These people are not respected. I see ignorant people getting on inboxes. And yes, I'm calling them ignorant because it's like, why are you shooting yourself in the foot? I'm just telling you something to make you better, honey. I'm not trying to
Mm.
hurt you. I'm just being real. So at the end of the day, I've had these conversations like we're having now in other outlets. And sometimes I do go to the inboxes and look at the messages on purpose because I want to see what people are saying, and so and in some places, as there may be some business there as well, and so the bottom line is, I see people attacking back for me saying what's real. And at the end of the day, they grow up later, and understand it if they live that long. And I actually lost my chain of thought, but I'm gonna come back to it. But it's a sad thing to see how we cut our own foot off because you need somebody to tell you the truth and to bring some information. And I'm speaking because I see the difference. They want to, this is where I was going. They want to be upset or judgmental towards older women like us. I'm 52 and I'm proud. I love telling my age. You'll look all over the place because they think a woman my age is done. It's like, y'all got this stuff twisted. I will run circles around you, your mama, your granddaddy, and your daddy. How about that? And your daughter. Okay. And her daughter too. And then come and hug on y'all and y'all be ready to come with me. Come on, y'all, let's go get it. So it's like, don't disrespect us because we're older. We've raised generations too. We've had other responsibilities. Look at us as like, wow, they actually have, raised kids through this too. The men can go back to their home and the mothers have cooked dinner and they maids or whoever, the mothers are the ones that take care. But us women who has raised kids during this industry of hip hop and still here, still recording, still existing, still alive, respect it. Because we done a whole nother thing that y'all probably could never even relate to, that a man in this game and our colleagues couldn't even relate to, because they don't have to go back and parent in the same way that a woman goes back to parent. So there's times that I have paused to make sure that my kids knew me. That was very important to me. I didn't want my kids getting older and living any kind of way and, oh, mama, I don't like you because you wasn't here, or they just got all these different lifestyles that all of a sudden they didn't came up with that I didn't know nothing about because they was tampered with or something happened or I wasn't there and they're rebelling against me, or the wrong person was the wrong peer influence and then it's on me and I have to feel guilty the rest of my life because, I knew that I could always get back to the game. when we talked about earlier, how do we find balance? Well, because I learned how to. So I wasn't scared like, oh, if I quit now, or if I slow down, or if I don't make hip hop my priority, I can't do nothing else later, because I know I can put my own self back on, and don't have to wait on my brother, and don't have to wait on anybody. But a lot of times people don't appreciate the whole vision. And I want these younger women to look at us older women as a different species, because these are different generations of younger women. Yes, they're now having kids, some of them, but we've done it a long time ago, and we got multiple generations, and you should appreciate that. The purpose of me saying that is because Big Mama needs to stay in the game. And it's up to the people who support us and who's listening to our music, who's looking on this podcast, who's in our spaces and places, to keep us alive too. Not that we can't keep ourselves, but we need you, because without people and without fans and without purchases and without, support and interaction and community, we'll just be on our island by ourselves. So I'm just being real. You got to help keep us alive. Because if you're going to get stuck with drugs and sex and violence and stripping and booty popping and, all this extra stuff, your kids and your grandkids will have to deal with this. And it might not be as funny later once you mature to not have no balance in this game and not be able to see other things. And this is no offense to the Megans. Matter of fact, Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B got a song called Beat It Up. Now, that's my single, Beat It Up. I have a single, and I'm officially releasing it. And I've been performing it, playing it online, shows I perform at. I've been working it independently, sending it out to private people and different undiscovered links and things of that nature. And now they got a song called Beat It Up.
Did they give you credit for that?
I didn't say they took it from me, right? But it's just ironic that they have a song called Beat It Up and it sounds just like mine. So it's actually an honor that are like, okay, somebody watching me. It's an honor. So
it's an honor, but it's also a problem. It reminds me of when I talked to D1 the other day about his thing with Rick Ross. I said, what's crazy to me is that Rick Ross isn't even Rick Ross. There is a real Freeway Ricky Ross, and he just said, I want his name. And I think Freeway took him to court and all that, and the courts didn't do anything. And I said, this is crazy when people just jacking somebody's idea. That don't make no sense to me. I'm sorry, you got to explain that one to me.
Absolutely. Well, I started the Her Museum. Her Museum, I opened up a museum 2 years ago. It's called Her Museum, hermuseum.org, right? You learn about it. It's a community wellness, arts for smart arts, and women and girl empowerment platform, right? And so our goal is to keep her legacy existing, because all this is going on with the mentality that we have as a people. If we keep allowing ourselves to fall into dropping the elders and dropping people that mattered and that came and paved the way, then history gets erased. So I opened up the museum to continue to have historical existence and presence for women who have paved the way, who are positive role models, meaningful, and that we need. So the bottom line is, in this mindset, Her Museum, I just did a public release. If you Google it right now, Her Museum and Suga T, God is my witness. The next probably 3 weeks, there's a month, a song comes out called Her. Okay. So somebody watches us. Okay. Some of these old school handlers, it's either the handlers or those who are doing it. It's an honor, that they watch us, but they don't give us no credit and they don't want to work with us. You know what I mean? So when we speak about it, it's like we're causing problem, and you'll hear, oh, they bitter. Who is she? I'm going to get all that stuff maybe on this interview. Make sure you send it to me so I can cut it and continue to share it. You get what I'm saying? And I'm okay with it. Who am I? I'm one of the real ones. That's who I am. Look me up, and at the end of the day, it's a blessing to still be here. They'll say mean things. She needs to sit down somewhere. These people are a mess. And it's like, you sit up here and they don't get the whole thing, and they end up shooting themselves in the foot, because they end up stuck with wannabes and people that are not even, the foundation is not going to stand in the way that supports them. You know what I mean? it's kind of unsafe to not have uh the discernment to understand how important it is to keep this balance in hip hop. So I want to see this change as well, you know. I
Well,
want to see.
and I agree with you, and I was thinking about what you were saying in terms of the importance of Big Mama. We all know just from a fundamental standpoint, everybody in the audience. I hope you can let me know if you agree with this, but if you remember, even the movie Soul Food, you remember what happened when Big Mama died. The whole family fell apart. There was
Mhm,
complete chaos, right? Big Mama is an incredibly important part of our family, an
mhm,
incredibly important part of our community. And what when you were talking about how we need Big Mama in hip hop or just in entertainment period, just for all these young people that don't get that never had that growing up, that never got the advice they needed. I was actually thinking about this. I remember when I've only had one conversation with Tyler Perry in person. He was a very nice guy.
mhm,
Um, and we just talked. He called me out of the blue. Sometimes people call and I'll talk to him. And I
mhm,
remember specifically him saying that the reason he puts on the Medea dress is because people in our community are traumatized. They need therapy, and they'll receive it in a comedic form through Big Mama versus like actually
mhm.
going to see a therapist. And I agree with that, right?
Yes,
Now, now the
yes,
whole Medea, the man putting on a dress thing, we can debate that, but I agree with that premise. Now, here's what's interesting to me though. Society is more ready to accept a man dressed as Big Mama than they are to just show respect to
mhm,
women who actually are Big Mama, right?
yes,
That or just the idea of, and again, no disrespect to Tyler at all. I
mhm,
like the guy. I told you he's a very nice guy. But when he showed me the writers' room and he was making these movies with nine, you have six, seven, eight, nine female characters, and
mhm,
you tell me that you played every single character in the movie. You wrote
mhm.
the lines for every character instead of
Yes,
hearing the authentic voice of the black woman. You're hearing a trans voice, basically. That's what it is.
yes,
You know, and people are like, "Oh, that's so good, that's so real, that's so." No, it's not. That ain't
mhm,
real.
yes,
I'd be
yes,
mad as hell if somebody said, "Well, we need a man in here," and they said, "Okay, well, go get that woman and put some man's clothes on her and give her a fake mustache, and that's gonna be the
yep,
man of the." No, it's
yes,
like in this house, I am
mhm,
the man of this house, and ain't nobody. My wife ain't gonna be
mhm,
like, "Well, no, I'm the man of the house." No, no, you're not, baby.
yeah,
You play your position. And so I think that what you're saying makes perfect sense, and I wonder how that can be developed. I think that infrastructure should be carved out, and I would. I'm gonna let you get the last word, Sugar T, because I want
sure,
you. You're the guest, but I really want to challenge all the guys. You're 52, I'm
mhm,
52,
yep,
and you mentioned you're far from done.
mhm,
I know I'm far from done, and, uh,
yes,
and and here's the thing: I know I ain't done. And I know Cube ain't done. Your brother ain't done. Their work is getting better every year because I still listen to all these guys.
yeah,
Um, I think that collectively there should be some work to really carve out that distributional infrastructure
yes,
necessary to support all
right,
the great things that women like yourself are doing
mhm,
beyond just the music, right? It's so much more than
mhm,
just the music. The music's part of it, but what I'm seeing when you're talking about the work you're doing in terms of physical and mental health. You're talking
mhm,
about things that involve our families and our children.
mhm,
Work that you're doing in terms of coaching and business.
mhm,
And that's the to me that's the perfect evolution, right? Where
yes, mhm,
because and I can see that, like, actually when I listen to your brothers, I think, what was that song? I forgot what the song was, but where he was explaining all these rules of business.
yes,
And that, because that's where we are now as a community. It's at least that cohort of us, let's say
yeah,
40 and beyond, we're
mhm,
ready to really go out and understand all the things that are required to be successful in the world, that where the music is a conductor to get us there, right? So,
yes,
so I think that they should um organize something, right? You're a businesswoman. There should be things
mhm,
organized that are funded. See, the funding to me is the key. I'm a money guy. It's about, the ability to put money into to saying something like, okay,
mhm,
we have this idea, this initiative, this concept that
mhm,
involves Sugar T and all the other legends of hip hop that are in the same demographic, and here's who we're going to market this to. And it's not just about a song or an album, it's really an idea. And the song album is part of it, but then there's other things that come with it that come with elevating the community, right? Because when I think
yes,
about when I think about
mhm,
the Bay, like, your family is one of the first
mhm,
families I think about, and there's just so much great work that I think that can be done if we
Yeah.
think on a bigger level, right?
Yes.
Sure, make the next album, make the next
Yeah.
song, do the next concert, but we got a whole community to elevate, and I think
Yeah.
we need to do that. What do you think?
I mean, it's a lot, a lot we can, a lot in a whole lot.
Mm.
So, where is interesting is I totally agree. I mean, I in no way, because I want to be clear, I think everyone who feels like there's a talent that they want to express, have fun. But at the end of the day, there needs to be more diversity. There needs to be elevation. And anybody that feels that this is a problem, what it's talking about, this is not normal, to just run around here naked and run around here where everywhere that's the only conversation. The men are responsible too, because the men allows it to happen. I don't know if it's their excuse to be able to look at other bodies while they with their women or what it is, but they don't get that this is a serious issue. I'm speaking because, again, I'm a big mama. I have granddaughters, okay? I have 8 grandchildren, and my granddaughters are teenagers. I have girls I raised in this industry. They're almost in their 40s. I actually, as a woman, care about my sisters. You know what I mean? Not only that, but I care about the community. If you got women that's running around here just in one way, only looking at one way to live and allowing that to be it, then we're basically decreasing our lineage. We're decreasing the culture of Black people, because a lot of times they're going to go to a different race. Okay. Eventually they grow up. Okay. When they finally be like, oh, shoot, because you got other people that's after us too that want us. You got some people that want to, intermingle, and that's their whole focus, for the mandingo. You get, and whatever else that their purpose is. You know what I'm saying? So my point of saying that is, this is speaking from such a wider perspective. It will go over a lot of people's heads. You know what I mean? Because they're busy looking at the wrong thing. We got a limited amount of our men now. If they don't want, they want another man. We got all these different factors now. To whereas the family structure is, we got to look at that. Is there going to be, a family structure anymore in the Black community? And like you said earlier, you don't see any white rappers naked. And when you do, you only see them for a second. Okay. I've seen some, but they don't stay long. They get in it and they move on to something else real quick. They get in it to get the buy-in from the urban community and from those who are in that population that they know they could reach, and they move on to the big thing, to the big wig. They move on to the commercial. They move on to a whole different thing. They don't stay there. And that's the problem, is we are, we're falling into this narrative of this is who we are. It's not the only thing that we are. We are Black queens. I am a queen. I'm raising queens. I queen up with my little sisters and auntie to all little girls and to my little sisters. You know what I mean? And a sister to the mothers, and a grandmother to the granddaughters. We have programs for girls. I have a program that's called The Queen I Am. It's called Queen I Am. And it's all about teaching them that balance. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm speaking, I'm not speaking like I'm just complaining. I do the work. You know what I mean? Anybody who wants to donate, theworkerproject.org, we got a program called SOS, Save Our Sisters. You know what I'm saying? So I work with women in all different types of populations. I work with my brothers too. I love my Black men. It's sad that these brothers are not even supporting women like me who are out here, because this industry have made it where if you're not a man, then, if you're not a man, then, you have to be somebody that's selling drugs or selling alcohol or violence or foolishness and this or that. If you're not doing that as a woman, then you have to be, you have to feel like you got to fit in, and you got to look the part of whatever agendas that people might be that want to support you. So, but our brothers need to step up, because Tupac would have never, ever allowed this. He would have said, y'all know we need a queen in the middle of all this. We need somebody to balance this thing out. We can't just let this thing go on with just, one set of people that's out there the most, while the other elders are being buried and have to work 10 times harder, get paid 10 times less, and don't be respected. cutting your own foot, because this is our culture. This is bigger. It's not even really a culture to me no more. It's not black culture to me, but it's trying to become that. It's trying to morph into it. And, and this is the problem, is we can't allow it to, to morph into it and feel that it's okay, and the last part to this is, the men need to stand up too. They need to stop okaying this. They need to stop being up there to slap the booties. They need to be, have a more of a balance in their space and play old school music, not just hip hop, but give your kids a well-rounded experience. Give them what you got. If you have any sense, if you're feeling this, that means that you were balanced. If you're not, then that's on you. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, this is a serious situation, and we have to do our job. And I'm hoping to see, maybe even somebody got mad at Jermaine Dupri because he said that, there should be a genre called strapping. There is nothing wrong with, y'all girls go strip and booty pop and stank and do all that stuff if you want. But let's let y'all do that lane. Let that be a genre. He called it strapping. And everybody got mad at him because he called it strapping. I ain't done no dirt to nobody.
That is what it is.
And then he took it back. I'm not taking it back. We do need these things separated. The genres need to be separated. It should be rap, hip hop, and strapping. And let those that want to represent that, let them do that. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing wrong. But we shouldn't all be just put in this box, and everybody shouldn't expect for us all to look like these, to do what the youngins are doing, which is no problem. Y'all do y'all thing. And like I said, I hope everybody live through this, because it's bigger, it's a lot bigger than what, it's just like if you're not in hip hop, just the mainstream, because this is leaking out to just common life, where you got the young girls, challenging their moms and thinking they're on the same level, because everybody got so much access to information to where they don't think they need the elders. But what they do is they end up running around in circles, eventually banging their heads and following this foolishness, and they got to come back to balance, eventually. But it's like, how many people did you hurt? Did you traumatize? How much time did you lose? Did you come out alive? Is somebody going to want to fool with you after this at the end of the day?
Yeah, and people are noticing this. There are men that are speaking on this, and I think that they have a right to speak. I think everybody has a right to express, and I appreciate you expressing. And I want everybody, if you could, give a digital thank you, a round of applause to Miss Suga T, Dr. Suga T, and her website. One of her websites is theworkitproject.org, theworkitproject.org. Everybody go support, and also sprinklemelearningacademy.com. That's sprinklemelearningacademy.com. And remember that Suga T is she's proudly the sister of E40, but she's so much more, and I know that as well, and I want everybody else to know that. I want to say thank you very much for hanging out with us today. It was wonderful to see you again.
Thank you. Shout out to the clique, E40, D-Shot, Be Legit. And the last part, Dr. Boyce, I appreciate you continuing to keep that conversation going. You don't let down, and I like that, because it's not you're doing this because you care. We can go on our island and don't care and be successful as we want to be, especially when we know how to get it. You know what I mean? But instead, we are here for this mission. This is real, and I appreciate your work and Alicia's work.
Thank you.
I had to find the most positive thing about hip hop lately. And what I did, because I want to see it beautiful again. Hip hop is not beautiful to me right now, even though I'm releasing my 25th album, Heiress I Am Heiress. It's coming right now. It's still, it's still not beautiful. So I created a hip hop beauty line. So at sprinklemeboutique.com, that's where my beauty line, I own a beauty and fragrance company as well. So sprinklemeboutique.com. Keep an eye, go get some Sprinkle Me products. It's all, vegan, healthy makeup, no parabens, no lanolin. It's our brand, designer brand, accessories, and soon to be, if you get on our mail list, you will be able to learn about the new collection that's coming out that's set up for release, and get a download of my music when you purchase it. So sprinklemeboutique.com. So thank you, Dr. Boyce, for all your work. I appreciate you. And thank you all who listened. And I hope you learned something. And I hope you guys went higher. Be one.
Yes. We did B1. All right, all right. Everybody, say thank you to Dr. Sugar T, and I want to say thank you as well. And until we meet again, everybody, please hit that thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. SprinkleMeBoutique.com. I'll give you the URLs one more time so y'all can go and support the sister. We support black-owned business around here. Let's see what's it. SprinkleMeLearningAcademy.com. And then also theworkitproject.org. That's where you can go check it out. And of course, you know me, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. This podcast is on Spotify and also on Apple. And I encourage y'all to pay attention that in terms of promotion, how Sugar T is breaking down her products and making sure that she lets everybody know what she's up to. That's an important part of marketing. So those of you that got businesses, pay attention. They dropping game. Her family has been entrepreneurial for decades, and I appreciate them sharing that perspective with the world. So God bless everybody. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.